All right, so I'm here to introduce to you to Studio Discussions. So Studio Discussions is an opportunity for you to interact with a small group of students. So roughly 8 to 12 students will be in your group, and you'll be a part of the same group each week. So then you get to know the same people and start having better and better conversations, hopefully over the course of time. So this week you'll just be doing an introduction to each other, answering 5 questions. I just ask that you complete this video after you've read chapter 1, because you'll notice that the 5th question is actually you talking about one of the people in the chapter 1 that you found most interesting. And also note that you're going to be looking up some information online about that person to add additional research and information about that specific person. So feel free to reach out with any questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of give you an introduction video of what to expect. So question number 1, how do I prefer people to call me? So I'll go by Mr. Scott in this class. I use he, they pronouns. And for the sake of this classroom, that'll be easy enough. You can just use Mr. Scott. Where am I originally from? Where do I live now? So I grew up in Illinois, went to high school in Rolla, Missouri, went to college here locally, and then moved out to Virginia for graduate school. And now I'm back into this area, and I consider this area my home. So I've been in the Springfield, Ozark, Branson region for over a decade now. What are things that I find personally interesting? I really enjoy counseling. So I work in a private practice. I work downtown with clients. I work specifically with adults, LGBTQ, people with various types of trauma, people exploring identity. So that's primarily who I work with down here. I also like working on my house. I just built a fence. It was a whole lot of work. It continues to be work because it's not quite finished. Yeah, I like working with my hands, working with plants and such. How is the subject of psychology personally relevant? So I would say outside of just my career, that's kind of obvious, but personally, I found counseling to be quite useful for my own journey through processing my own life and trying to understand my identity and exploring like who I am, trying to explore some of the things from the past and what happened, dealing with some past trauma, and then establishing my life as an adult. So therapy has had a very profound impact on me personally, and part of the reason I went into this field. Name one person in the chapter that you find personally interesting. Tell your group about them. So I found Carl Rogers. It says in the book that he was born in 1902 and lived until 1987. And he's a pretty significant figure in the field of counseling specifically. He's the one that developed client-centered therapy. So his mindset is that the client is the one that has all the information, is the one that's solving their own problems, all the internal information, and that you as the counselor are just helping them work through what is happening in their system, just approaching them as a caring, empathetic adult. He talks about this concept of unconditional positive regard that the counselor approaches with this just tender, empathetic approach and trying to help the client just through active listening. So as I was looking online, one of the critiques of his work is just that sometimes this type of therapy tends to be more cerebral. And so if you're letting the client lead, and if the client is largely processing intellectually through things, then they may still have difficulty and not leave therapy still not having processed through what's happening in their body, their emotions. And so I think that's a very fair critique. So the therapist and client relationship is proved to be the most important part of why counseling works. I think they said 70% of the reason why therapy works is just the connection between the therapist and the client. And so I think that is the value that Carl Rogers brings, is the idea of just really connecting in and being empathetic with your clients. But I do feel like that there are ways of challenging your clients and helping them identify areas where they may have blank spots, not quite being able to see everything that's going on in their lives. So, all right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to text me or send me an email. Otherwise, this week you're just going to be posting these replies. Next week you'll be responding to each other. All right. Take care.